Hey guys, welcome back to another video. You may already noticed that I have a new background behind me, and that's because last week I spent a pretty decent amount of my time moving stuff all around my room, and honestly, I like this position a lot better than my previous position. Um, so I'm sorry for not uploading a video, or at least pre-recording a video in advance. I'll try to do much better going forward. But this week's video, I want to tackle a subject, not a subject actually, more of a question. And that question is a question that's been eating away at me for a little bit. In the same way as last time's video, this is just me trying to answer questions that kind of come up in my mind every so often. I often wonder just the basic question I want to try and answer is just why don't big companies try to help out small towns? Let's get into. So when I first talk about big companies, I usually refer to the usual suspects, like say in the tech industry you have Apple and Microsoft, or maybe in the shipping industry, the obvious number one answer would be Amazon, or maybe when it comes to groceries, Walmart, for example. Of the four companies I just listed, the only one I could see actually going to a small town, like a really small town, like for example, I don't know, Winsville, for example, would be Walmart. Mostly because any town, big or small, needs a grocery store, and Walmart never really backs down from opening up a location in all those markets, regardless of their size. But other companies like Amazon and Apple and Microsoft, like in politics, one of the most basic things, if not the most basic question you get asked, is how are you going to help make the economy better? And usually, one of the answers you hear from these politicians is, I'll be able to help get big companies to recognize our city as a great investment. Except the thing is, the companies themselves don't usually say that back. They don't, like, if you were living in, let's say, Nebraska City, Nebraska, you weren't, your mayor says that they're going to bring an Amazon warehouse to Nebraska City, Nebraska. But Amazon doesn't have any plans to bring an Amazon warehouse to Nebraska. But usually, when you see the political and cultural divide between rural and urban parts of our country, what you usually see are the big companies, the big corporations that are in cities, and when you go to, like, say, Dallas, you have a lot of headquarters of some of the country's most famous companies and corporations. But if you were to go to, let's say, for example, Dalhart in Texas, you probably won't find even one headquarter of a big company in the city, because it's just not where companies go, and it's not exactly a desirable place for these large corporations and companies. But my question usually is just, why doesn't someone try to change that? I don't mean the politician. The politician usually doesn't change anything. Sometimes I just like to think to myself, well, not too long ago, many people thought Salt Lake City, like 3 to 4 decades ago, was not exactly wasn't a worthy investment as far as market was concerned to a lot of these companies and corporations. But today, while not exactly to the same extent as global cities like Chicago or New York City or Los Angeles, Salt Lake City is very much it's a growing city. It's a growing city. It has growing suburbs, a growing population, and its economy is booming. Please ignore the fact that the Salt Lake is all but dried up at this point due to climate change. The politician doesn't really care about that. The politician cares about how much green they can, give their city at the end of the year. That's their main purpose in life. So, for me, whenever I think about the question, why don't big companies try to help out small towns? Because this question's main origin, for me, started when I saw Walmart and Kroger ads, supermarket commercials. They featured Walmart as well as Kroger not too long ago, like years ago. I mean, years ago. I actually used to see a Kmart ad. Yeah, obviously Kmart doesn't really exist anymore, or at least as far as the rest of the country is concerned, it barely exists. It's like in a weird, cold, dark state of limbo. But you hear a lot of these grocery store chains talk about how they, how they benefit small towns and how all the stuff, all the food that they get are from small town farmers, and how they ship them, from the small towns to the big urban cities. But you never really hear them talk about maybe just building your base of operations there. Instead, it's just part of a much larger operation. What I'm trying to get at is rural development. It doesn't really work in the same context as urban development. Once again, behind me I have the Dallas versus Dalhart example. Dallas has 1.339 million people living in it, or exactly 1,339,000 people that currently reside there. In Dalhart, about a couple hours up the panhandle, it's just 8,500 people. Which do you think the company is going to go to, for maybe a new headquarters building? Dallas, because it's more well known, it's more accessible, and it has a higher quality of living. Dalhart, however, does have a handful of advantages. For example, it has more land, therefore it probably cheaper land as well, so you could theoretically buy the land for cheaper, but it's not nearly as accessible. Not nearly as many people in the world would even point to where Dalhart is on a map of Texas, and Dalhart's just not known. For me, I feel like companies who constantly say that they help out small towns, small businesses, local farmers should really start planting some base of operations in these areas. I personally, through my research, have not been able to find even a single one of them, although that's probably because I'm bad at my research. So if I do end up finding some research that shows big companies planting their seeds, or planting their flags into the ground in small towns, whichever expression you want to use. I use the flag one. Planting their flag into the dirt of a small town, then please, I'm going to leave links in the description down below. So I feel like the Dallas versus Dalhart example is the best illustration because they're both in the same state in this example, and that's Texas. One is globally known, and the other one I doubt you even knew existed before I brought it up. Unfortunately, we probably won't know the full answer to the question, why don't big companies try to help out small towns? Because realistically, there's no clearish answer other than just a small town is a small town. If you're a small town, you lack the infrastructure by nature. Although as to why these companies don't just help out these small towns, not just economically, but also help bring them benefits to the community, in the same way that a lot of sports teams always nowadays offer up new stadium plans with hotels, apartment buildings, mostly 1%, luxury condos for the 1%, but they also do kind of like with Busch Stadium. Like when the Cardinals built the current Busch Stadium in downtown St. Louis, they destroyed the old stadium. And then they built condos, Ballpark Village. I thought they also had built another entertainment complex right across the street from Busch Stadium. So I don't understand why companies can't maybe try that pattern of saying, hey, we will give you more than just like, say, for Walmart, for example, we'll give you more than just a Walmart. We'll help fund a school, or we will help fund some apartment complexes, or maybe build some houses around there, or even some restaurants. But you never really hear that stuff. So unfortunately, we're probably never going to get the full-fledged answer, but I am hoping this at least starts a discussion among you guys. Why do you guys think big companies don't help out small towns. Please let me know what you think the answer to this question is in the comments below. I don't know what the answer is. I don't think there's a clear-cut answer for it, but who knows? Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you all next Saturday, and thank you guys so much for your patience and understanding during this transitional period I'm going through in my life. Thank you so much.